Hello, YouTube world!
Hi!
Even Penny Dog wants to join in the announcement here. So we are live at the Martinez household in Wisconsin, and we want to welcome people who are viewing us. We see Brian there, and Dan, good to see you. Ben Caniff, you are driving in your car. Ben, are you driving home from work, or are you driving to work? Did he say that?
I think he said on the way home to work.
All right. And the Redmonds, we see Mary Bixby. We are trying to figure out how to work this. So I want to introduce our kids. So we have Hannah, Sarah, Gideon, and Izzy, and we want to have them introduce themselves to you and kind of give a little update on what they are, how their year has been. So let's start with Hannah. Hannah, can you tell us a little bit of what's happened in this past year that has been a delight and a joy to you?
Recently I've become really interested and I've gotten really involved with this theater program called CYT, which stands for Christian Youth Theater. It is the largest youth theater company in the country, I believe.
Yep.
I've been in 2 shows now, and I've been in Annie and I've been in Singing in the Rain. And right now, my siblings, Gideon and Izzy, have decided to join in for the 3rd show that we're doing called Once on This Island, and that's in progress right now.
Well, kind of in progress.
Yeah, it's kind of in progress. It's a little...
Got interrupted.
It's a little interrupted right now.
Oh, coronavirus interruption.
Corona, yeah.
And so, Hannah, how old are you?
I am 15.
You are 15. You'll be 16 in... When's your birthday?
September.
You're going to have a birthday this year?
Yeah.
All right.
Usually.
So theater has been kind of a delight for you this past year.
Uh-huh.
All right, Sarah, tell us about your past year. What have you found delight and joy in this past year?
I have been able to connect with friends more, being in Wisconsin, and going to Bright Rising, school that we go to 2 days a week.
So living in the RV for 18 months away from friends, you're thinking being close to friends is better or worse?
It's a hard one. It's better. Yeah.
Being with friends is better for sure. Yeah. So Bright Rising is...
So homeschool resource group. They provide different academic classes and theater productions for the kids. And they have been involved with that group for several years now. But we have taken advantage of their academic studies this year, and all 4 kids are involved in that, and that has definitely been a blessing. So
yeah. So Sarah likes friends. We've established that. Who's next? Yeah. Gideon, tell us, what have you enjoyed this past year?
I think I've just enjoyed, being in Wisconsin, because I've been in Wisconsin basically my entire life, minus the past 2 years.
Minus the 18 months of full-time RV living.
But I think it was just really nice to get back to a more comfortable position, like what I'm used to, instead of being in a new place every, like a week. Don't get me wrong, I love traveling in the RV, but I think it was just nice to get home and be able to see my friends and just, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And Izzy, what about you? Give a little update to YouTube world.
I think that what I've been into more is just like being here in Wisconsin and being able to do the things that we weren't able to do in the RV. And like, even though we've been here for a long time and we're kind of sick of the RV, I still kind of want to go back to the RV.
Wait, so was everybody really sick of the RV, or we just needed a break from the RV?
I'm not sick of it. I want to go back RVing.
Yeah.
No comments.
No comments, says Sarah. But it was good to have a break. It was good to come back to Wisconsin. Gideon, you said your favorite thing of this past year was the whole state of Wisconsin, right? Just
basically,
the whole state,
I miss the cheese curds.
The cheese curds. even Culver's outside of Wisconsin doesn't taste the same.
It doesn't. It
Not
really
the
doesn't.
same.
It doesn't.
All right, so we just wanted to give everybody a little update from the kids. Thank you, kids. This is now your cue to exit. Say
Bye,
bye.
YouTube world. See you in other
Bye.
videos.
Goodbye.
Are you guys hearing everything okay? If you can just comment and let us know that you can hear okay. I see somebody saying they don't hear anything. So if you can just let us know, that would be helpful.
All right. They have grown up. Brian says they've grown up a lot since our channel started. That's right. All right. So we just thought it was good to let you see the kids and they grow up so fast, right? Those of you who have adult kids or grown up kids, they do grow up fast. And the YouTube channel that started when they were smaller, it's totally different now, or the kids are different now that we've been doing this for a little bit. So we wanted to spend the bulk of our time together tonight telling you about a church planting ministry that we are partnering with called PCM. That stands for Planting Churches Ministries, and you can find them at plantingchurches.com. You have the cue for that? Plantingchurches.com?
Yeah, let me show you that.
This is a cool graphic. Okay, get ready for the graphic. Is it on?
Boom.
Boom! We just did a live graphic for you. See how technically savvy we are? Boom.
Thanks for letting us know you can hear. Good to know.
Can everybody hear?
Yes.
All right. And so so we want to talk to or share with you about PCM, Planting Churches Ministries, and that's a ministry that we are going to be partnering with. However, because of kind of the events of the world and the coronavirus, we wanted to take just a few minutes to maybe share some encouragement with you from the scriptures, and for a few minutes just kind of direct your attention towards the Exodus story. And so we'll come back to PCM and what we're doing in a few minutes, but I want to draw your attention to Exodus chapter 2. So many of us were familiar with the Exodus story, especially now being Holy Week, Easter week. I want to read Exodus chapter 2, verses 23 to 25. It says this: "During those many days, the king of Egypt died, and the people of Israel groaned because of their slavery, and they cried out for help. Their cry for rescue from slavery came up to God, and God heard their groaning, and God remembered. He remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. God saw the people of Israel, and God knew." And so I just want to spend a few minutes kind of going over those verses with you. The king, a king died, a new king came to power. Scholars debate whether that was Tutmos III or Ramses II, but we're talking about maybe 1,200 or 1,400 years before the birth of Christ. But slavery in Egypt obviously was terrible, right? And the Hebrews, they were groaning. They cried out. They called out for God to rescue them. And notice, God heard their groaning. And if you ever wonder, like, what is God like? Like no one has ever seen God, right? God is not like la la la, fingers in the ear, not hearing, not listening, distant. That's not who God is. God is a God who hears. In our groaning, in our pain, in our fear, in our insecurity, God is a God who hears. And notice, God remembered his covenant. In Genesis 12, God established his covenant with Abraham, saying that Abraham, through you and all of your descendants, God is going to bring a blessing to the entire world. And through you, Abraham, through your descendants, God is going to make himself known to the entire world. But here, the descendants of Abraham are enslaved in Egypt. But notice, God saw and God knew. God was not distant. God was not unconcerned or aloof. And so now I bring that back to our present day situation. I think of the coronavirus and just what's going on. I mean, here we were tonight. We're going to talk about this new ministry that we're involved in and ask for you to support us financially. Well, I mean, how can we do that when there's this crisis going on? I think of civilization, not just in this country, but throughout the entire globe. We are experiencing a tremendous trial right now. There is a lot of fear. There is a lot of anxiety. And I know I have felt that. Trisha, have you felt that?
Yeah. Daily.
Daily. And when I think about the crisis and the fear that is going on right now, I think of really two areas of fear and anxiety, and first is health. When we think of our health, people are asking, am I going to get sick? Are my loved ones going to get sick? Are my friends, are my parents going to get sick? And I think for all of our friends who are listening here, you're asking the same question, and you're wondering, are your parents going to get sick? Maybe you know somebody who's in the hospital right now or who has died. And I was thinking this week, for the most part, the majority of people on this globe are not going to get sick from coronavirus. And those that do get sick, the majority of them are not going to die. But there's a very real fear right now when it comes to health. I mean, Trisha works at Target.
Yeah.
Do you see people at Target, coworkers or customers? Are they fearful? Are they anxious?
I actually had a guest today who was on the phone with me, and she was bawling. She was so upset that she had such a close encounter with someone that she didn't know, and that could possibly put her at risk for then taking that virus home and infecting her 85-year-old parents. And so just there are some who just really feel like this daily terror of not only themselves being infected, but then unknowingly infecting the ones that they love. And that's hard. That's a daily anxiety and fear that a lot of people carry.
And especially those with immune deficiencies, right?
Right.
Like you were telling me, was it a coworker or a customer who had children at home that were sick and couldn't come to get toilet paper? Tell us that story.
Just this past week, we had a guest who she needed toilet paper, and she had 4 children who are immunocompromised, and one of them severely immunocompromised, and so she doesn't dare step foot in a store, but she can't get toilet paper because toilet paper is a rationed item and you can't order it online. The only way to get a hold of it is to get into the store. And so we had to work with her to figure out a way to get her toilet paper that would not put her or her kids at risk.
And so what did you do? I just thought this was, I have to brag on my wife. What did you do? Tell them what you did.
So I bought the toilet paper for her, and
because she couldn't order it online.
She couldn't order it online. She couldn't come in the store. And so
you personally bought this woman toilet paper out of our own funds.
I bought her toilet paper, and then she came to the store and picked it up.
And she wanted to pay you.
And so I just told her to pay it forward because I feel like we all need a little bit more of that, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that need help, and we just need to be kind to one another and kind of go the extra distance to help each other out. And
so there's all these good stories of paying it forward, but still the issues with health right now are very real.
Right.
There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a second area of fear right now, and that's the fear of resources or lack of resources. Yeah. Millions have already lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Countless others are about to lose their jobs. Business owners don't know if they're going to be in business within the next week or certainly next few months. There is a huge amount of fear right now and anxiety over, am I going to be able to pay my bills? The rent is due, the mortgage payment, there's food, there's medical bills, there's gas. There's just so much fear over health and over resources. And so knowing that right now, there's so many people in this place of fearing for health, fearing for resources. I want to take us back into Exodus and read those same verses again. Exodus 2:23, during those many days, and boy, it seems like we're in a season where we're kind of trapped and we don't know, and there's many days, right? There's this kind of endless, when is this going to end? Certainly the Hebrew slaves were thinking that. The king of Egypt died, and the people of Israel, they groaned. Because of their slavery, they cried out for help. How many of us are crying out for help? Their cry for rescue, they were crying out, and their cry came up to God. But God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant, and God saw the people, and God knew. I want to just draw your attention to those few words. God heard, God saw, and God knew. In that moment, the Hebrew slaves had no idea that God was about to rescue them. We have this story. We have the Hebrew scriptures recorded for us. So we know how it turned out. But put yourself in that place. You're a Hebrew slave, and you don't know that the Exodus is about. You don't know that in the next paragraph, Moses and the burning bush happens. You don't know that yet. All you know is you're in a terrible situation, slavery. You don't have health care from Pharaoh. You don't have resources. You have a lack of resources. The Hebrew slaves did not know that God was about to do something huge. And here's what I want to encourage you with tonight. You do not know how this coronavirus thing is going to end, and neither do I. The government leaders have no idea how this is going to play out. We don't know where the resources are going to come from. We don't know who's going to lose their job or how many businesses will close. We don't know how bills will be paid. We do not know who will get sick. We do not know who will need a ventilator and won't have one. We don't know how many healthcare professionals are going to get sick as they try to help others. We just don't know. We don't know anything right now. But here's the point. God knows. Yeah. I was just struck by the fact that God knows. Just like God knows the difficult groaning of the Hebrew slaves, 1400 BC, so God knows the groaning that every one of us is experiencing right now. He knows. You see, when the object of our faith is in the assurance of a paycheck, then fear will be multiplied, right? If my faith is in the paycheck, I need that paycheck. If the object of our faith is that paycheck, yeah, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. If the object of our faith is in a well-resourced healthcare system, then our anxiety should be off the charts right now, right? Like if the object of my faith is, are there enough masks? Are there enough ventilators? Are there enough beds? If that's the object of my faith, yeah, anxious, right? But if the object of our faith is the creator God of the universe, who created this whole thing, who loves you and me, who has proved himself to be good and faithful and merciful and loving, if the object of our faith is that God, then in the midst of really fearful circumstances, we can experience peace that surpasses understanding. We can experience peace that surpasses our fears. And so when I think about slavery and the Hebrew slaves, that's so far beyond my experience. I mean, we are so privileged growing up in the context. But it was a year ago. You remember we were on the tour of the Underground Railroad and African American slavery, and we visited the home of Harriet Tubman. Yeah, remember Harriet Tubman?
I do.
And so Harriet, what do you remember about Harriet Tubman?
Harriet Tubman, we actually listened to her biography as we were on this journey of following the Underground Railroad and learning more about enslavement in America. And she really became a hero, I think, over the course of our learning about her, because she very selflessly, over decades, again and again, put herself at risk, gave of what little she had to help others, either freeing them, leading them out of captivity, or providing a home and shelter and food and clothing for those who had escaped slavery. And she did it to the detriment of herself repeatedly. Right. And so just a really amazing story.
So born into slavery in Maryland.
And she was called the Moses of her people.
The Moses of her people. So she was a runaway slave.
Yes.
Found freedom up through northern New York and into Canada and through Niagara Falls. But then instead of staying in freedom, she came back over a dozen times. She came back to the States where she was wanted, and she would rescue groups of runaway slaves, and she was called a conductor through the Underground Railroad. Right. And she would lead them through the woods, through swamps, over a dozen trips from the States all the way north into Canada through Niagara Falls. Okay, so Harriet Tubman Like, she knew slavery. She was a slave. Like, I don't get slavery, but Harriet Tubman would. It's the faith of Harriet Tubman, who was very committed to her church and had a strong faith. It was the faith of Harriet Tubman that got her through those difficult times, those challenges of risking her health, not knowing what would she get, influenza, pneumonia, would she have food, would she have shelter, clothing, shoes. I cannot imagine the horrific situations that Harriet Tubman went through, just like Hebrew slaves in Egypt. The faith of Harriet Tubman helped her overcome her fear and anxiety. And whether you are a Hebrew slave in Egypt, or whether you are a runaway slave like Harriet Tubman in the United States, or whether you are enslaved to fear in the midst of a worldwide pandemic, I want to encourage our friends to place your confidence, place your faith in God to help you get through these trials. I don't know exactly what you're dealing with. I don't know the resources that you're lacking, or the fear, or whether you've already lost your job, or maybe they're getting ready to cut you this week. There's fear all over. And I want to challenge you. I want to encourage you. Place your faith in God. God can give you the peace. God can give you the strength to persevere no matter the circumstance. And even if the circumstance does not change, even if the pandemic does not go away in the time frame that we want it to, God is still worthy of us to place our faith in him. And God will get us through together. And so, do you believe this?
Absolutely. Can I just encourage you guys, if you are willing to be a little bit vulnerable, could you just comment maybe something that, maybe a fear that you're struggling with during this time? We would love to be able to pray over you. And I know with working at Target, that's not really something I've shared up until this point today, but I've been working there for about 8 months now. And I see it daily in those that frequent the store and among my team members. And we have our own fears that we're dealing with, especially in regards to our current worldwide situation. But we would love to be able to pray for you and over you. So if you're willing to share those, put those in the comments below, or if you'd rather just send us a private message, we would love that too. So let us hear from you. We would love to do that.
And feel free to write some questions. If you have questions, jot it down there. And at the end of our time together tonight, we'll try and answer as many of those questions as we can.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. So we do want to, like I said earlier, tell you about this new ministry that we are partnering with called PCM. Again, Planting Churches Ministries, and you can find them at plantingchurches.com. This is a ministry that focuses on recruiting and training and coaching church planters. And currently, PCM serves, the majority of the work is in 9 southeastern states. All right, Tricia did not know I was going to do this, but I'm going to quiz her. Tricia, what are the 9 states that PCM works in?
Woo, here we go. All right, we're talking Florida.
I mean,
Georgia.
can you get more south and east than Florida? Like, you start with the easy one,
Start with
right?
the easy one.
Florida,
Georgia, the Carolinas,
North
so
and South.
Tennessee, Louisiana,
Yep,
Mississippi,
yep,
Alabama.
yes.
What did I miss?
Was that 9? I think we got all 9. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. And just for a bonus, PCM through the Free Church is also working with Puerto Rico. Did you like how I rolled the R's there?
Oh, yes. That's your Hispanic.
My Hispanic background, Martinez, lets me roll my R's like that. Puerto Rico and Haiti. And PCM has a strategic partnership with the Southeastern District of the Evangelical Free Church of America. And so the Free Church, that is the church that Tricia was a part of when you were in high school?
Yeah, so I would say that I came to know the Lord while attending an evangelical free church. And then Joe and I actually met going to Trinity International University, which is an evangelical free school.
Kind of the northwest suburbs of Chicago.
Yes.
So that's where we met in Bible school together.
Yep. And then Joe went on to seminary through the Evangelical Free Church Seminary, which is Trinity Evangelical Divinity School.
Yeah, and then I served as a youth pastor for about 18 months at a free church in Deerfield, Illinois. I see Kristen Booth Polich on here. We were friends at Trinity as well.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen. Miss you guys.
Let's also give a shout out to Andrew and Joe and Jesse, Jackie and Brian and Ben.
Yeah.
And Bruce.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
And so that's the free church. And so PCM has a strategic partnership with the free church. And if you know a little bit about our history, after seminary, we planted a church in Phoenix, Arizona. The Booths Kristen Booth Polich, Kristen and Jeff were part of that. And then after that church plant in Phoenix, we planted a church in Milwaukee, and then there was a big merger with Harvest Community Church. And so because of our background with church planting, we're excited to jump back into the church planting world. But in this role now, I will be recruiting, assessing, training, mobilizing, sending out, helping start churches, taking the experiences that I've learned and passing that on to others. And so because this is a large geographic area, how many states? 9. Can you name them again? No, just kidding. Because this is a large geographic area, we've had this dream of using the RV to travel to those areas and stay in an area for a little bit to do some ministry. Tell us about, or kind of share that thought with YouTube World.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're looking at a map or you have any experience traveling down there, then you know that those 9 states encompass a huge amount of area. And so one of the ways that we have kind of envisioned this playing out a little bit is that as we work with different church planters and their families, that we can take this RV that we have, that we've been given by the Lord, and use it to go and travel to these different places and spend time with these different families. So it's kind of a way to incorporate what we have done and what we have enjoyed, and then kind of pair it with this passion that God has given us to help plant churches, which is a tool that God would use then to spread the gospel into these areas that need to hear the good news of Jesus.
Yeah, and so when we look at where the existing churches are with the free church or PCM, there's pockets where there's more churches, and really through the major metro areas. So like southern Florida, right around the Miami area, there's a bunch of churches and church plants, and then up to the north there in Jacksonville, and then around the Carolinas. And so if we can take the RV and travel as a family and plant ourselves in an area and for some time and invest in those churches and church planters, we have a unique situation where, I don't know, I kind of think if the Apostle Paul had access to an RV, he probably would have used it. I mean, he had to use ships, right?
That's true. He did.
Well, I guess we could take a ship like through the Great Lakes, down the Mississippi, through the Illinois River.
Pass.
Anyway, all right. We'll stick to the RV. All right, so that's a little bit of what we're going to be doing in this next ministry season for us. And so we want to share a little bit about how you can partner with us and how you could help us. Now, we had planned several weeks ago to really solicit funding and support for this financially, but boy, we did not see the coronavirus coming.
I was just going to say, it's a little bit like a missionary opportunity. We would be kind of serving like in a missions role. And so that's why we're talking with you about fundraising and such. It's not a salaried position. There's not that kind of a setup at this time. And so we're in a unique position where we would be acting as missionaries. And so we would be dependent upon the support of our friends and family and those who really feel called to give and support this particular mission of planting churches.
Yeah. And this is a terrible time to be asking for money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, several of you maybe you're listening to this and you just lost your job, and here we are asking you for money. This is a terrible time to be asking for money, and we just want to acknowledge that, and then also say this is for people who are able to give, who desire to give, who want to give. We completely understand if you cannot, if you just lost your job, don't we're addressing people who have the ability to help and support. If that's you, if you find yourself in that situation and you're able to help us, go to plantingchurches.com, and there you can click on give or give here, and you'll be directed to a donation page. And then there's a little drop down box. It says apply my gift to. So click on the drop down box that says apply my gift to, and you'll see my name, Joe Martinez. Click on my name, and if you can give a donation, either a recurring donation or a one-time gift, click my name so they know that goes to our fund. The funds are processed through EFT Corporation. They manage the payment processing. PCM is a 501c3 organization, so all gifts are tax deductible. And again, we totally understand if you cannot give based on circumstances. This is a difficult time for everybody.
But I think that's also, it's a difficult time for people to give. It's a terrible time to ask people to support us. But at the same time, it's the right time, because there are so many people who are now acutely aware of their fear, and their anxiety is at an all-time high, and they're looking for answers. And so this is the right time for the church to really act in a way that we have not acted before. So whether it's supporting us financially or whether it's supporting us with your prayers, which is what we need more than anything, or supporting us by making people aware of our YouTube channel and getting the word out. And so I really truly believe that God will bring like-minded people alongside us who are in a position to help in various ways. And so it's the right time for the church to really mobilize and act in various ways. And so what can be a horrible time can also be God's perfect timing. And so we just ask you to do whatever you feel God is leading you to do.
Yeah. And so we want to have a Q&A time in a few minutes. So if you have any questions for us about the ministry or our family or about Penny Dog, type your questions, and we'll try and answer those in a few minutes. But first, I want to tell you about some next steps. I want to meet again next Monday. Did I even tell you this?
No.
No, this is new for Trisha. I want to meet again next Monday like this. I want to share some more through Exodus. I'm kind of thinking the coronavirus is still going to be here a week from now. And if we can gather again, I want to march through Exodus a little bit with you. And so if you're willing to join us again next Monday at 7 o'clock Central, let's keep marching through Exodus together. And I want to tell you some more about PCM next week. I want to tell you about Teddy. Teddy is an Ethiopian church planter, and he is serving refugees in Atlanta. And so I don't want to keep you too long tonight. So I'm gonna tell you about Teddy next week, Monday, when we meet again. But I just have to tell you a little bit. So Teddy was born in Ethiopia, but now he's a missionary to the United States, and he is serving a community in Atlanta that is like 90% refugees. Like, this is the government center where refugees are placed when they come to this country. There's no money there. So churches are not planting there. And here's Teddy trying to reach people with the gospel in a very difficult part. Like, the entire world is coming to Teddy through the refugee programs, and he's trying to plant a church there. And so that's an example of the type of church planter that PCM is trying to reach. he doesn't have connections. He doesn't have people to support him. Anyway, I'll tell you more about Teddy next week, and I'll tell you more about PCM next week. So join us again next Monday, 7 o'clock. I guess I should ask you, is that okay if we do this again?
Sure.
All right, I got the thumbs up. We're going to do this again next Monday. So it's the day after Easter, right?
Yeah.
That'll be April 13th, 7 o'clock Central. We'll share a little bit more from Exodus, and I'll share more about PCM and Teddy. But are there any questions? Have you seen any questions that have come through?
No, but you can ask us anything, and I'm not going to promise we'll answer everything, but we would love to answer any questions you have about PCM, what kind of our vision is for it, maybe what we've been up to the past year or so.
Yeah, I see. Joe Brinkman. Joe Brinkman, if you're still on here, I know it's been. I think the last time I saw you, Joe, was at Rose's funeral when we lost a good friend of ours just over a year ago, and we made it back up here. We did a YouTube video on that trip, and it was good to see you then, Joe, and it's good to see you on here.
I saw the Bixbys are watching too. Good to see you guys.
Hi, Bixby family. And Bruce and Jackie, we're going to be partnering with Bruce and Jackie. I'll talk more about them maybe next week. And it's good to see you guys. So I think any final words?
Yeah, something that the Lord has been putting on my heart, just again addressing that fear and anxiety, is this idea of doing a live Bible study weekly. I feel like that is a huge need. I see a lot of Bible services going on, or Sunday morning services going on, but not necessarily Bible studies. And I just know that so many people, because they're really feeling that anxiety and fear that is so overwhelming. So I have a study that I have actually led before. And so I'm looking at doing that on Wednesday evenings. And of course it would be recorded so anyone can watch it at any time. But then that being an opportunity for people to ask questions and chime in and be seen and heard, and then probably doing some sort of like a Facebook group where people can have prayer requests and that sort of thing. So if that's something you'd be interested in participating in or sharing with others, I would love to hear from you, and I can share more details in the future, but I'm hoping to start that very soon.
Yeah. So I thought that was awesome. So Trisha's going to be starting that. I see a question from Kristen about education. Tell YouTube world what our education thoughts are with the kids.
So we are currently homeschooling, but it's a little bit different than what we have done in the past. So because I've been working full time, the kids are still doing school at home, but they're doing it through a virtual charter school. And that has allowed them to then also be involved in a 2-day-a-week co-op, excuse me, where they've done theater classes and academics.
And that's Bright Rising that Sarah was talking about earlier. They've really
Bright
enjoyed
Rising
that.
Arts and Education. And they've just had a really great experience and a really great time with that. That's allowed them to see friends and build some great relationships, but then also really be poured into academically and give them an opportunity to use their talents and their gifts. So we're very thankful for that.
Yeah, and so we don't know what the future is going to hold for education. We're kind of taking education one step at a time with the kids. We were road schooling for a year. Trisha has some videos about road schooling.
Yep.
And this past winter, we've been in one place.
Yeah.
I think Diane was on here earlier with Bright Rising. Good to see you,
Yeah.
Diane. And it's one step at a time. If we're back traveling, we'll be road schooling again. If we are in a single location, then we'll hopefully get connected with schools there. And so everything is kind of up in the air. We're taking it one season at a time. And boy, it's really different to take life one season at a time with housing, with education. It's like everything's up in the air, but we'll get through it one season at a time.
Yeah. Andrew says, you may have already answered before I got on, but when do you plan to head out to the Southeast for your mission? It's Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
Same. Wait, that's Tracy?
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Tracy. Good to see you, Tracy. Yeah. So same thing. One season at a time, right? We're trying to raise finances right now. And the thing with the territory that we'll be working in those 9 southeast states is it's so big, and so no matter where we land, there's travel throughout all those states, and so pray for us, pray with us as we consider where and when, and there's a lot of unknowns, and again we're taking it one season at a time. So when we know, we will tell you.
We're really just trying to take a step of faith here. We don't have the answers. We don't know how it's all going to work out. And so I don't think we have ever experienced in our lives as much as this particular season where we're really just taking one day at a time, because it seems like so many things are up in the air and in flux that all we can do is just one day at a time. So we're thankful that we know who's in control. But it is hard to not be in control too. So.
All right. Well, it's been about 40 minutes, and so we will bring this to an end. But hopefully you'll come back next week, and we'll see you at 7 o'clock Central Time. That'd be 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
That is true.
Or 6 o'clock Mountain Time. You have Arizona that is kind of different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's from Arizona.
Cowboys out there.
Yeah. So 7 o'clock Central Time next Monday night, the 13th. And again, we'll share more about PCM and Teddy, the pastor in the Atlanta area. And we'll share more about Exodus and keep journeying together. In the meantime, again, if you're able to, go to plantingchurches.com if you can support us. And we just thank you in advance for your support, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
This was our first live YouTube experience. So I don't know, I had fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, this is cool. It's good to not just be behind the screen, but then to be able to interact with you guys a little bit. So thanks for giving of your time and kind of hearing us out a little bit. We hope that we can interact with you more in the future.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye.
How do we press stop? It's still going. People are still watching. Is it still recording? Then. It's still recording. We don't know how to turn this off. You have to keep watching us.
Okay, here we go. I found it.
Until we learn how to turn this off. Keep watching.
Are you still here?
Bueller, are you still here?